Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Vincent and Paul. This is,
Hey,
I
Vincent.
believe, our fourth call or third call. And we are very excited to see this community growing. We're close to 50 people now. We started just a few weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were just the two of us, and now we've got 50 of you guys that regularly come to the platform, check. And I know it's going to keep coming. This week we passed also the $1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channels. That was very exciting. And that's why we're here. We're here to help you guys to sell more boats, to help you guys understand what needs to be done in today's market to be more effective, to be a more effective boat sales professional, whether it's for your mindset, to get more leads, to get more sales, to be better at communication, to be better at closing. And this is what I wanted to talk to you today, closing. So what we're going to do is we are going to have maybe like a short class, maybe 15-20 minute max, talking about closing. And hopefully we got some people that join live. If not, it's not a problem. We can just replay this class, and I know some of you will watch that later. So closing, let's dive in for a little closing mini class. So some people think that in sales, the close is everything, but it's actually the other way around. What does that mean? Everything is the close. What do I mean by everything is a close? Well, a close is not something that is like a manipulative action that you do at certain point or towards the end of the sale in order to manipulate your clients or influence your clients to buy the boat or to buy something from you. Everything is a close means that from the day you start engaging with the clients, from the day you saying hello to the clients, you always have the close in mind. And the close doesn't necessarily means signing on the dotted line and give you their financial information to get a deposit to buy the boat. The close is progressive, means that you are always closing on the next step. So it's something that is very organic, and it's something that is very organic, and it's something that is being done progressively. We have Michaela joining here. Thanks for joining. So let me give you an example. We're going to look at different examples of the close today. The first one that I want to share with you guys is a perfect close. So what is a perfect close? The perfect close is, does it make sense to, plus we are going to give the next step we want to achieve. So for instance, does it make sense to sit down and put together some numbers? Does it make sense to organize a sea trial tomorrow? Does it make sense to come to the factory? Does it make sense to sit down and look at the option? Does it make sense to organize a survey? That's the next step you want to do. If your client say yes, congratulations, you're moving forward in the sales. If your client says no, what you're doing is you can ask them, what would be the next step then? What would be the next step then? So you readjust and you continue like this. So very organic, very effective. We're not here to pressure clients, but we're always here to move forward. Next close that I want to tell you that is a very, very powerful close. I call this a bridge close, because the role of a salesperson is to bring you from the rational part of the brain of your clients to the emotional area of the brain of your clients, because the sale is going to occur, is going to happen in the emotional. So what we do is we create this pattern interrupt, we create this cognitive dissonance in the brain. So let's say I show you the product, I show you a boat, I show you a charter, or I show you a product, and I ask you, do you think it might be the right boat for you? Because I clearly see that you enjoy the presentation, that you like the boat, but then I'm going to switch to emotional. And if you say yes, I'm going to ask you, why do you feel it is? And when you say, why do you feel it is, something magical is going to happen. Is you're going to convince yourself for why this is the right boat for you. So I'm not the one that is going to convince you. You are going to convince yourself. And nothing is more powerful than letting people persuade themselves. So why do you feel it is? Even if I'm trying to sell you this cell phone right here, you think it might be the right phone for you? Why do you feel it is? So rational going to emotional, very, very powerful. Next thing we can do is sometimes we're expected as salesperson to be a little bit more assertive. Because our role is not to push client in the sense that pushing them to buy, but pushing them because it's like sometimes you need help to buy something and you want to be a little bit pushed. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the push-pull method, or I will call that the pull-push method. So you can say, for instance, of course, I don't expect you to make the final decision in the heat, in this crowded show, in the indoor light, after looking at the boat just online for a few minutes, after looking at just about one time. But then you can say, but here is what our clients typically do. They put a fully refundable deposit. We schedule a sea trial and some quiet time together in a couple of days after the show and see from there. Does that seem fair enough? So what's happening here is we are pulling, saying, hey, of course, I don't expect you to make a final decision, but right after we're pushing a little bit. And sometimes clients will thank you for that because they need that. Because buying a boat is making a big jump. It's like buying a house. It's like making a big purchase or buying a big vacation. Sometimes you need a little bit of jump because you're hesitating. And the role of the salesperson is, of course, to remove resistance, but it's also to help them being more confident and help them push them a little bit. Next, we're going to go with the assumption close. So let's go ahead and schedule a showing. Would early next week work for you, or is there a more convenient time? Let's go ahead and schedule a showing. So let's go ahead. I didn't say, would you like to schedule a showing? I said, let's go ahead. Let's do it together. In the sense like we're holding hand and we're doing this together. Let's go ahead and organize a visit to the factory. It's less pressuring when you hear that, let's do it together. Would early next week, then we use a conditional. Would early next week work for you, or is there a more convenient time? So you see, we are kind of like guiding the client. Next, what I notice is a humor clause. It's sometimes works well. So is this going to be a new baby, or what's going to be the name? You kind of crank a little joke about the boat, about the process, because it's a fun, it's a relaxed environment. The summary close. Based on our conversation, it sounds like this specific boat model align well with your choices. What's the next step you'd like to take in exploring further option, or in exploring the option further? What we're doing here is we saying, based on our conversation, or based on what you told me earlier, or based on the question you answered, it feels like, or it sounds like this specific model will be well suited for you or will align with your choice. That's also good because I'm not pushing you. I'm just saying that based on what you told me, that will be a great match. Now, this one, I love it. And this is very subtle. A lot of people do mistake with that. What's a space clause? And by the way, we don't have too many clauses. There are like maybe, I think in total, we got like 10 or 12 in total, right? So you can easily remember them. I've done training before. I've done sales training where like they will teach me like hundreds of clauses. And I'm like, I have more like an organic approach of selling where you don't need to learn too many things, but you just need to learn a few things better. I think Bruce Lee was saying, I do not fear the men that know how to make 1,000 different type of kick, but I fear the men that have practiced the same kick 1,000 times, right? So we have fewer clauses, but we use them more regularly. So the space clause is, what you're going to notice is sometimes you're showing a boat to a client and they're really excited. Husband and wife are really excited. You can see that they are close to pull the trigger. You can see that they are close moving forward the direction you want. But because you don't give them some space and they need space, they're just going to tell you, well, okay, we're going to go home and think about it. So what you can do is once you're done showing the boat, you excuse yourself. Say, excuse me, I got to go to the show office for a few minutes, or I have to go there for a few minutes and I'll be back. Or I got to give a quick phone call and I'll be back. Or I have to get a key somewhere and I'll be back. Now, what's happening when you do that, you give them a few minutes alone, and that's when they're going to have to consult with each other, reassure them, and say, yeah, great boat, let's do it. Because sometimes they want to, but because you don't give them the space, you don't give them the opportunity, they will postpone and say, okay, we're going to talk about it at home, and then they'll let you know. So a lot of people are doing mistakes like this. So don't forget the space clause. The ask clause, to move things forward, we're going to need to do this. So basically, you state the agenda. Hey, to move things forward, because people say, hey, would you like to come and see the boat on Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't like this because it's kind of like I'm putting you in a corner. But what I like is put a context to it. So like, in order to move forward, we're going to need to do that. Now, would you like to choose this or that? In order to secure the boat, we're going to need to organize a deposit. Would the bank draft or would a direct deposit or like a wire transfer work better for you? You see, in order to move things forward. So you give more clarity. And by giving more clarity and by giving more guidance on where you're going, you remove the pressure. The goal is to remove the resistance. And there is different type of resistance when you're selling. And the goal of the salesperson is to remove the resistance. There is a resistance towards you. There is a resistance towards your product. And there is resistance toward themselves. And as a skilled salesperson, you need to be a master at removing resistance. Now, there are two types of way to remove resistance. There's the alpha way and the omega way. Alpha, let's say if I took my two hands, instead of you push, right? That's an old way of selling. What we're going to do is we're going to, let's say, instead of pushing, I just slide my hand and then I can go forward. That's the difference. That's what we're doing. It's much more organic. It's much more smoother. Invitation clause. Based on what you're telling me, it seems that this boat might be the perfect match for you. What do you think if we schedule a showing, a sea trial, so you can experience it for yourself? Just a chance to enjoy the experience. Do you see how organic it is? But I'm still doing my job of moving forward. Based on what you're telling me, it seems that this boat might be the perfect match for you. What do you see if we schedule a showing, a sea trial? You can experience it for yourself. Just a chance to enjoy the experience. The empathy clause. I can see that this boat means a lot to you and you want to make the right decision. So let's talk about what you're looking for and see if this boat is a right fit. So I can see that this boat means a lot to you. Essentially, what you're going is empathy. Like I can see that you attach, you have a lot of you give a lot of importance to this boat. But I want to help you to make the right decision. So let's talk about what you're looking for and see if it's the right fit. This is like a lot of empathy. How to ask for a budget. Now, a lot of people do mistakes here. Never ask, hey, what's your budget? Never ask, what's your budget? Because if you want to buy a car and ask you what's your budget, you're going to, I just bought a car 2 weeks ago. If you ask me what's your budget, I will have probably given you a lower budget than the price I bought my car for. So you ask the question differently. Let's imagine that you could find a car of your dream today. What would maximum budget possibly be? You see the difference? Let's imagine you could find the boat of your dream today. What would your maximum budget possibly be? So here we ask them to imagine that they could conditional. Imagine conditional of their dream conditional. What would possibly, there is 6 conditional in that sentence. So we are pushing people to give us the maximum figure. Because if someone wants to buy a boat and they say, okay, my budget will be between 150 to 210. Right, 150 to 210 maximum. Maximum will be 210. And we ask, what's your budget? The guy's going to be like, oh, it's 150, 160. But if we ask this, let's imagine you could find the boat of your dream today, what would maximum possibly budget possibly be? Maybe the guy would be like, oh, 210. Now, as a salesperson, is it easier to work with a 210 budget or a 160 budget? Because you ask the question differently. The difference between where you are today and where you want to be as your dream salesman is just in one thing: your ability to communicate with others. So as a salesperson, I want you, we're working in the pleasure boating in the industry, but it's not because we're working in the pleasure boating industry that you don't need to be professional. And if you want to be professional, you need to understand that there are a few things that you need to learn and master. How to ask for the budget, how to ask for close, and right, and they are not too complicated. How to ask for the budget. You can also ask differently. What range would make you more comfortable on the purchase price? Or is it a financing conversation? What range makes you more comfortable on the purchase price, or is it more a financing conversation? So if it's financing, there is no need to talk about the budget. The guy can tell you, oh, maybe I want to spend, $3,000 a month on my boat. How to sit down and talk numbers. Sometimes people, they have hard time transitioning between I'm presenting you the product and we sit down and we go to the next step, like we sit down and we actually talk numbers. So would you like to hear about a boat show special? It's a great way to ask people to sit down and talk numbers. They're not going to tell you no. So would you like to hear about a boat show special? So you talk about the boat, they like it. Well, what would you like to hear about a boat show special? Yes, well, let's sit down. I'll tell you about a boat show special. And then it's an organic way to telling them, okay, let's sit down and let's talk what's next. And that's it. That's it for today. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Just a mini lessons. I'm very excited to do this new mini lesson in this new community. So Michaela, I want to welcome you. We used to have like a bigger community on Facebook where like 1,600 boat sales professionals. You can still join the group. There is a lot of resource there. But 2 weeks ago, we just started this new community on Skool. There is like, I think 48 or 50 people now. And we are I think it's every Wednesday and every Thursday, we have a little mini class like this where we share some awesome stuff. And then we post a video on the community and people can watch it later. So thanks for joining live. Do you have any question?
No, sir, I don't think so. So we are still able to access these after?
Yes, yeah, we're going to upload it and yeah, you can access it. And when you're going to do your course, you're going to have a VIP section where only you or the people that do the course will access, and the other member will not be able to access. And you can call me Vincent, but thanks for calling me sir. But you can call me Vincent.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Well, Paul, Michaela, and everybody watching this after, I want to thank you so much for joining for this little class today. And I wish you an amazing day. If you have any question, you make sure to reach out directly on the community or to me or to Julia or to Paul or to Simon. One thing also I want to mention, tomorrow we're going to talk about one-click showing, our tool to get more listings. So let me know make sure to be there for the call tomorrow. It's going to be great stuff as usual. And we help you guys to be more effective in the way you show and sell boats in 2024. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Vincent.
Bye. Ciao.